Alright, this is going to be the VoD review for your Garen game, GHF 7. You played full tank Garen into Vayne, Cass, Jayce, J4, and Thresh. This is rough. This is a very rough team to play Garen into. Every single one of them either has kite or knockback or some sort of CC that really makes it difficult for you to do your job. Particularly, they scale well. Vayne is like a natural enemy of Garen late game. She just gets 3 items, and if you don't get on top of her, or even if you do get on top of her, she just tends to still kill you. It's just the Vayne countering the meatball champions like Garen, Mundo, etc. These guys that don't really have gap closers or hard CC to jump on her and DPS her while she can't move. So one, this is a rough team comp. It doesn't surprise me that with your build, you had trouble being relevant this game, because even though you built full tank, you're not really tanky to Vayne and Cass. You built nothing but health and armor, which tells me at some point in mid-game, this Cass was probably still hurting you a lot, even though she was not even doing well. And no matter what, no matter how much health and armor you build, Vayne's just going to kill you anyway. On top of it, that makes it worse, Jayce has a lot of armor shred, and he got Cleaver. J4 also has armor shred. So building full tank versus a team like this, you're just not going to end up being that tanky because of the composition. I also see that you buy Sunfire into Jayce, which on the surface is not bad, but what is bad is that you buy the bombies way too early when you need a tab ice, and you're also maxing your E. So what's so crucial about playing Garen into ranged matchups is that you need the movement speed of your Q in order to close the distance between you and him more effectively. The reason why maxing your E is also very bad into Jayce is that half the time you don't even get off your full spin on Jayce because he will knock you back first. So you're losing a lot of your damage by maxing E into Jayce, and without the movement speed from Q, it is harder to negotiate the difference in range to even get in range to do damage to begin with. But the reason why this Amis is actually really bad in this matchup is because you need the tab eyes much more. But if we see what you build versus what he builds in the same amount of time, this guy builds a bunch of straight AD. Health and health potions is not necessarily that great into all this straight AD. Garen's natural sustain through second wind, Doran's shield, and his passive is multiplied by early armor, not early health. When you buy early health against someone who does a lot of damage, all that means is they have to hit you maybe 2 more times. You're not actually reducing their damage, you're just making it so that they have to do, a little more to finish you off. So when you have access to large amounts of regen, you make the regen more effective by getting tab eyes first. Tab eyes are also just way better into Jayce because most of his damage is like auto attacks and poke and physical damage. His magic damage is kind of incidental. Looking at the rest of your team, you mentioned that your rest of your team did very well. Like your Trista's 10-3-3. So your winning condition in this game is definitely just like, try to kill whoever goes for her and just keep her alive. I think what probably ends up happening is that with your full tank build, either J4 and Cass are just like CCing you with Thresh and you die, or I think what happens is you try to dive this Vayne, who just says, you're Garen, and she just knocks you away and kills you with 4 auto attacks because she's Vayne. We'll see when we get there. Your damage is definitely low. You probably get beat up in lane, and in a ranged to melee matchup, you can actually do less damage than them and still end up winning lane, just because they're the one who gets to poke you all the time. The only damage you do to them is when you kill them. So the damage stats are misleading, but it's definitely low, right? You're tank Garen into a losing lane, so it's a little rough. But this is just a game composition-wise that I would already not be building full tank, just because of how well they counter it. But I think now is when we just switch over. That's not you. There we go. Your runes are fine. You have second wind into a poke matchup. You 100% need that. Oh my goodness.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
You take E level 1. When you take E level 1, definitely have to push, right? When you see that Jayce immediately shoots you, and then backs up, he backs up to a point where your minions can't help you with the minion aggro anymore, right? Because he stepped out of range of the ranged minions to acquire him. You kind of just give that to him. I think if we back up a little bit. Yeah. We're gonna slow it down. Okay. When you see that he stops to auto attack you right here, I think what you do is you immediately pull up to this bush. But the thing that's important about this is that you're running bone plating, right? He pops your bone plating, and then you go in and he kind of chips away at it, and it runs down first. So you were able to get worth out of it, but because he backed up first, he didn't really take any minion aggro. He only took like 30, which he's just going to heal back up with some Doran's Blade autos. You're trying to hard push him in here, which I think is the right choice. But I've already seen this first 5 minutes of the video, so I know what happens here. The way you go about this push for level 2 is a little unfortunate. I think in theory you're doing the right thing here and trying to hard push these first 2 waves against a ranged matchup. But there's just one small thing that you don't do correctly. You go in deep to try to spin on the whole wave, and you open yourself up to Jayce damage once more. Without your minion's help. You're getting out-minioned in this fight. But the thing that's super important is that when you go for this hard push strategy, the whole point is that you hit level 2 first, right? By the time you're done spinning with your second spin, you need to be level 2. In order for that to happen, the moment you're moving up for the second wave, you know that it's this first melee minion that's going to get you level 2. So it looks pretty low. It has 200 HP right now, 280. And your spin's gonna do 200. When you see that this minion is this next lowest one that you need to kill, you need to auto this minion before you begin your hard push into the wave. Because you don't do that, once you finish this spin, it lives with just the smallest amount of life. And he walks in front of it, so you couldn't have even autoed that one if you wanted to at this point. You'd have had to have a very precise click. So you end up getting level 2 after you had planned, because I know you wanted to auto Q reset on this guy. But this minion wasn't dead yet. You need to make sure that this minion is going to die when you're going for this hard push, because you need that level 2 in order to out-trade him right there. And when you don't get it, this is a big trade to lose this early. The other thing that makes this trade a lot worse is that you've already used your bone plating. But this is the first time you get onto this Jayce. So he is able to just completely eat your spin damage with his bone plating. And then he eats your auto attack damage as well. He got a much better bone plating off than you did in your fight. And you also took way more minion damage. These are the 2 main reasons that you lose this. You hit level 2 after he's already disengaged. And just generally more minion damage. Unless you can get this auto Q reset here, when you go for the spin to push the wave, you don't even throw the auto. I think the mistake a lot of players make in the early game is that they throw too many autos. You throw an auto attack and it says it does 72 damage. But realistically, it does more like 55 damage. And when you throw that auto attack, you acquire all this minion aggro. And these are going to do more to you than the one you did to him. And on top of that, he just traded on you with his Q, his auto attack, and then his different form Q. He has access to more damage at level 1 than you do because he has 2 abilities. It sucks, it kind of feels unfair, but it's how it is. You eat all of it, and you eat more minion damage. I think the moment you see this, and you see that he has the bigger wave here, and you have this much lower HP, especially with this timing on the map. Now, you don't really know this Vayne didn't get here on time and that she couldn't leash this Jarvan properly. If you look at what time it is right now, this is perfect timing for the gank that Jarvan could be coming up for. Now he's late and he did a full clear because he got a bad leash and he knew that he probably couldn't gank, right? But that's not going to be every game. In a game like this where you've already taken 2 really rough trades and now you're not respecting the gank that could be about to happen, this normally would be enough to get you killed. So in this situation, you should not even be walking up for this CS like you are. Because what happens is he just walks up and you lose your Garen passive. You can't really let this happen when you're already down HP like this. You need to be conceding these minions and just giving them up. Because he already has a bigger wave than you, so you know that it is eventually going to shove. When you see that and you're low on HP, you just want to say, I'm chilling, I'm Garen, I'm going to regen up, and I'm going to be fine if I just wait. But you walk up and you allow him to break your passive with this auto attack. And you didn't really walk up for any particularly good reason. But the consequence of moving up in a ranged matchup is that he pops this. So you need to be staying much further back and respecting the fact that this passive is your way to getting through this rough early game, and you're letting him deny it to you. So if we look at your healing right now, it's 31 per 5. Once your Garen passive gets knocked off, it's like, oh, but it just went up to 35 per 5, right? Well, the only reason that number looks higher is because that's your Doran shield kicking in, right? Realistically, you got auto-attacked, and you lost bone plating, and he hit you with Airy. So even though it looks like your regen went up, you took damage, and the only reason your regen went up is because you're proccing Doran shield and second wind. You want to not take that auto-attack to begin with, not lose your bone plating, and just sit on your Garen passive. So right here, definitely, he just hit level 3 on you, and he has a minion lead. Your decision to go in here is craziness. This is insane. You cannot do this. He has more health, he has more levels, he has more minions. This is nuts. You can't do this. You kind of make it work, but only because he misses his QE and doesn't follow up on you in melee form. If that's a better player, you are dead the moment you rush at him and he's a level up. 100%. Even though you have Ignite, he kills you. Now you drink your potion. You see the Camille's here. And you bait really hard for this gank. This is not something you can do early game. Because you are not taking teleport on Garen, this early XP is more important than any XP that you're going to get for the rest of the game. All of your pre-6 XP, all of its XP before 6 minutes, when you hit 6 at like 540, is incredibly important. You cannot gamble with it and decide to all in against basically 10 minions just to get the kill, use your flash, use your ignite just to help your jungler. This is Jayce kind of getting what he wants because he gets to teleport back here. You end up getting back kind of in time, but only because this Camille gets like a really beautiful freeze on you. So you're like, sure, we killed him, we killed Jayce, but you need farm more than you need kills early. You need XP more than you need kills early. That kill went straight to Camille, and it didn't really help you that much. You're still behind on XP, and you're still behind on gold. And you should be building armor, not health. Now you do make it back to get some nice CS. But if we look at this guy, look how close he is to level 5. You're halfway to level 4 here. Granted, you have a wave. And now you're, you know, kind of there. You only just got level 4, and he's much more through level 5. Once again, there's more minions, but going back to this death, this is not a choice you can make just because you think Camille gets him here. This is 100% not worth. You need to be sitting under your tower, waiting for Garen passive, second wind endurance shield to keep you back up full again, so that you can get all of this CS. The number people tend to throw out is that 3 waves of CS equals a kill. That's 19 minions in a cannon minion, or 18 minions in a cannon minion. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 minions here, and then this next wave coming. So that is basically a kill in CS that's just right here, waiting to be had once he pushes you under tower. You basically are denying yourself what's even better than a kill, because you don't even get this kill. Camille gets it. If you just get all of this CS, and then you get all of this CS, you're gonna have over 700 gold. And then you're actually gonna be level 4, close to level 5. So by going for this kill here, you were actually cheating yourself out of more. And even worse than that, you had to use your ignite and your heal to get it, and you don't even get it. You need to just wait for this to shove in and farm it. And I think here's where you start putting extra points in E. Yeah, you start putting extra points in E. This is extra bad because you know you're already building bombies, right? So you're gonna have wave clear regardless. But this is so crucial for melee to range matchups. You need to be maxing Q, because you can't really reach Jayce with only 1.5 seconds of a speed up. And even if you do, he can knock you back, right? You need more mobility in the melee to range matchup. That's just critical. Trying to go for wave clear and health against someone who's going to build straight AD and burst you, it's risky. Like, you're basically saying, hey dude, I just want to farm. All he wants you to do is go for farm so that he can beat you up, and he's going to end up doing that. Once again here, these are trades that you just can't take. This guy already has more health than you. This is where we make the comparison to that health you just bought not being very good, right? Because even though you came back to lane with the ruby crystal and potions, he's already worn through them. He's already worn through more than 300 health of yours. So this health really is not that effective as a rush. You need armor to make your health more effective. This just isn't a trade you can win. You're going in against a guy who is a higher level than you, who has more items than you, who has more minions than you, and has more health than you. You should just be waiting for it to push in their tower so you can farm. This trade's actually pretty winnable here. The reason why this trade is winnable, because you actually have somewhat similar health here. He doesn't have that much more than you here, and you have your W up. Once you see Jayce go melee, that should be the indicator to you that he wants to jump on you, right? So once you know that he is already about to jump on you, you need to have your finger on the W button, looking for the moment his feet leave the ground. So that when he's already in like the peak of his jump, your W is already on. Your W is very late here, and he already lands most of his burst before you even use it. You need to be much more ready to throw this when you know the burst is coming in. The other reason why this trade is winnable is that he jumps into your minions, right? Not the other way around here. So this is where you could punish him, but your W is definitely late. Now this is where W having a long cooldown comes in. Once you know that your W's down, and you just saw that this guy hit level 6, once again we're back to the point where he has a level advantage, he has an item advantage, he has a health advantage, and now your W's not up. With the replay bug, it's definitely still down right now, so ignore the fact that it looks like it's up right now. You are standing way too close to him with your W down. You just need to not even be close to him, just waiting under tower, waiting to dodge the Q that he throws. You can't be choosing to engage and walk into his jump range. He can switch forms and jump at like 600 range, which is like longer than 80 carry range auto attacks. So if you feel like a Xayah could be auto attacking you when you're playing against Jayce, just because his range is short, 500, his jumping range in melee is a lot longer. And he can even jump to melee minions next to you to get closer to you. Jayce has a very surprising range if he uses it properly. So when you kind of just hang out here, you're just really asking him to jump on you and trade on you. When you're already hurt, you need to be respecting that and just wait. Just chill. Chill. So this is where you come back with a Balmy Cinder. And then you don't hard push. We're gonna see if you could have actually eaten this to tower. I think if you hard push this the moment you got back to lane, since you are maxing E by Balmy Cinder first, the fact that you don't choose to hard push is a little weird. You could have actually made him miss a few. So this whole point of going Balmies, you don't even use it right here. And here we reach the point where he buys, you know, 45 AD in lethality, and you didn't buy any armor. You're just kind of a big pin cushion with this extra health that you bought. You can only eat one of those trades, right? Like, even though you did pressure W, he's so far ahead that you can't outtrade him at all. You're getting his mana, but I think he's just too big for you at this point. Yeah. You're not respecting the fact that he's got way too much AD for you right now, and you have no armor. I think that's really just what's happening here. You're hoping to run him out of mana, but with your build and with his lead, it's just not enough. You can't quite do it. It's already slipped too far away from you. And here's when you realize you need tabbies, but I think it's already too late. Right, you could actually kill him here. And we're gonna freeze it right here. He has 720 health. You are full. You're 2 levels down, but you have Ignite, and he has no mana. This is doable. The reason you don't get this kill is because you queued a minion, and you don't spin on him, right? You choose to fight him after you've already used your Q and your E. You get your Q back up, but then you don't auto him. Your Ignite is late. And actually your Ignite's not that late. But we can go through this one more time. Slow it down. You don't auto Q, so you don't use the reset. You do have a nice W though. You don't auto anymore. Bait him to walk under tower. I don't think he can get shot. Okay. Actually, no, that was your W. He does eat a tower shot. Alright, he was left with 234 HP. I think if you had engaged on him with the original Q you used on the minion, walked past him and cut off his escape, you kill him 100%. If you used your ult on him when he was already lower, I think it does more damage, and combined with your shield damage or your spin damage and the Q that you didn't get on him, you definitely could have had enough to kill him. Because there's also multiple instances where you do not auto attack him here. I think you actually only Q him with just one auto attack. Only auto attack this guy once. You don't spin on him, you don't auto attack him. That was just Q auto, and it wasn't even auto, that was just Q R and ignite. So he lives with 250 HP, but I think you definitely could have killed him there if you were less afraid and just went forward to begin with right here. I think potentially you bait him in with that Q, and he says, oh, Garen, you just Q, I'm okay. Then, look at this. You get so close to him, right? You walk up, and he kind of just walks right up next to you. You could have already E'd onto him here and walked around him. The important thing to note here, though, is that it's the Jayce matchup, right? If he were to go into melee form here, he could knock you back, which is why once you're already on this side of him, if you were to spin and just go this way, he can't knock you back into your tower. He would only be forced to knock you into his retreat path. So once you already get this close, the spin is just a little late, right? You're trying to catch up to him, but he already gave you a very small opening you could have gotten in and gotten behind and on top of him with that spin. And then we get back to the point where you only go for one auto attack, you don't actually AAQ, and you don't land any more auto attacks in here. I think with better execution, you get that kill very easily. I think this is another example of a time you should be hard pushing. This is not a lane where you're ahead and you can afford to just sit here and freeze and farm. You're behind with no HP. He's just going to jump on you, break the freeze, and kill you. He might even just dive you here. Waiting for Camille. This looks like a kill. Ouch. Good job by Camille. We're gonna see how this could have gone better though. So you're in full bait mode right now. The one thing that you have to consider is that just like you're receiving help from your teammate right now, where you really need it, I think you need to be considering that J4 could also be here, right? J4 could be here just to dive you because you're super vulnerable. Without Camille here, you can't even be here. So I think you consider just like Camille's ganking, J4 could be here too. So this chase, like going hard on this kill, is once again you forfeiting your own lane just to try to get a kill on Jayce, which I think is kind of forgetting the point of lane phase to begin with. You need XP and you need farm more than you need kills. Kills are just nice, they're a luxury. XP and CS are the guaranteed things that you're here in lane for, but you choose to go all in and you don't get any of this farm. And then you also don't get the fill again. It goes to Camille. And you had to use your flash and ignite again. These are definitely greedy kills. But you're resorted to them because it's your last option, because you've already taken too many bad trades. You're forced to go for the all-in kill because you've got nothing left. You need to be playing more defensive to begin with. That small miss micro not hitting level 2 on your push was actually really crucial. I think that was a really big thing that anyways. It's hard to overestimate how much hitting level 2 first and getting it used against you can be bad. Jayce is just so strong now that you can't even get near him. So right now, with this state in the game, you were definitely not doing well, but it's possible to still scale up and get carried. I think you look at the enemy team and you say, wow, they're behind. Cass is building straight tanky, so she's not going to melt me. I don't need MR, which I think is the only reason you get away with this, because your team's winning. Maybe if I go tank, I can survive. You have to up turret here. He's there. Yeah, he's... Now you're starting to do the right thing and just kind of chill out and let your Garen passive keep you nice and sustained up. Because it will, yeah, it starts to scale up with your max HP. So as you level up, the percentage of HP and the actual regen you gain per 5 seconds goes up too. Here's where you're kind of just stalling for Camille again. You kind of ink your W. You don't have flash this time to get in. I think this is also a symptom of the fact that you're not maxing Q, right? I think potentially if you max Q, you actually kill him before he kills her. But you're just so far behind and you're kind of slow. That's the best that you got. Hard push. It's kind of your only option left. But this is actually not the worst. In context, this is bad. Like, you're behind. The fact that your team is ahead gives hope to this situation for sure. You're still trying to get level 11 and really just try to finish your Sunfire at this point. You can't go start leaving and going to other lanes yet, or else Jayce just pushes your tower down and he follows you around. You can't roam because he could just roam and follow you. You're still trying to farm up here. Trying to fight him and wear him down, but you don't really have help on the way here. So this is all just kind of in hopes that maybe Camille or somebody shows up. You do eventually scare him away though, because he runs out of mana. He's afraid of staying pushed up for too long, so that is pretty good. You found some fights that were good and he didn't just kill you again.
Red team has slain the dragon.
Slack mid. I don't like that roam to mid, actually. You know that this Jayce left lane the moment you see this. This is not a time when you should be following. This is a time when you should be saying, thank goodness this Jayce is gone, because I could finally get some free farm. You leave to go take mid, because Talia goes to Dragon. She dies, and you're not getting your own lane CS. You could have already pushed this wave and not lost these, and these could already be dying to the tower. But because you choose to push mid first, Jayce actually gets all of these, and you miss your own lane CS. This is a time when you definitely just push your own lane. You don't go try to follow Jayce and make up the map pressure. You need to push your own lane first. There was really no benefit to going mid in that situation. Nice. There's a nice all in. And the problem is Jayce is still here. You do have Sunfire here, and you just hit level 11. Yeah, look at that passive healing. It's so much better. You can kind of do things now. You're not strong, but you do stuff. 2, 4, and 2 is really not the end of the world here. So if we look at the rest of the map right now, I think your path to winning, it certainly isn't in top lane anymore. I think you come to that conclusion when you see that Camille's still level 9 and this Jayce is level 13. The only way that you're going to be able to get ganks and kill him anymore is if you already wear him down to half and Camille's able to just come in and finish him off. Because he's starting to get so huge that if Camille comes in and ganks, she's just going to die. And you guys both die if J4's there. So you need to make the decision that you kind of can't win top anymore. This Jayce has just gotten too far. So what I would do in this scenario, I would look at the next strongest person on your team, or the strongest person on your team, in which case is the Tristana. The Tristana who is about to have her IE Shiv and is doing really, really well. and the Tom who's about to have the locket with her. I think the moment you push this lane back out and you buy like another Giant's Belt or Bramble Vest, whatever floats your boat here, you just go group up with your AD carry and your support who finish their items, and you go march down the next lane with them. If Jayce chooses to split push top and threaten top inhib at this point, I think that you're just going to have to let that be. Because your AD carry scaled up, their AD carry isn't, and this is probably the only window in the game where you're going to be tanky versus their tank shredding composition. So with that in mind, we're going to see what your game plan is and what happens. So you do try to group up here. You're already in too deep. Do you see anything wrong with this picture? Because I do. This is the strongest person on your team, and you roam down to a fight that she is not in. This is not a fight that you want. You see your team fighting here and you want to help, but the most help you can do right now would be to push this in. Probably farm the next wave, and then back with your gold. This is one of those situations where you just try to do something that you can't, and it's made even worse when you look at the map and see that your whole team isn't this, especially the person that you need most. So instead of roaming to this fight with 1,000 gold in your pocket, push this wave, push this next wave, back with 1,300 gold, you buy a Warden's Mail and a pink ward, and then you group up with your Trist, who's leaving base. Choosing to fight a fight that you can't win, especially considering the fact that up to a head count here, and see the Trist is in base. This is some tunnel vision and tilt here, I think. Also consider the fact that you definitely ran into their whole team. And you don't have mobility. The only thing you have is your Q right now, and that's not enough, right? Once that's gone, you're nothing. Since that's the state of your build right now, where you're kind of just pure meatball status, you gotta act like it. There's really nothing you could have done in this scenario without your AD carry. You just take that Sunfire and you go put your meatball ass down top lane and push. I think this is also where you definitely have to buy a Warden's Mail rather than another Chain Vest. The only thing Chain Vest puts into here is Dead Man's, which in this case I don't think is what you need. When you're up against 3 ADs, especially Jarvan, who gives attack speed to his team thanks to his E, you definitely need the Warden's Mail here. This Chain Vest is really not going to do you much good. Warden's Mail is going to reduce the true damage that you take from Vayne overall, and just their whole team, really. I think building into Randuin's here is definitely what you want, not this path into Dead Man's. And you're back to farm on top. At least until Jayce gets here. This guy's big. You accept the fact that Jayce is too big. Away. Just correct. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. He had a nice dodge on that and got out. Which AD does this guy have right now? 253. A lot. If we look at his kit right now, I need to switch forms so I can read the other one. Okay. Right now, with Jayce's build, he has 253 AD. When he switches into ranged form, he can reduce your armor magic resistance by 20% for 5 seconds. This is stacked on top of the fact that he has a cleaver. So when you add together like the multiplicative scaling, because they don't just stack flatly, it's like probably like 38% of your armor that he's shredding. That's 38% armor shred with 253 AD. That is huge. His Q is doing over 400. His ranged Q is probably doing over 700 or 800 when it's maxed. And he actually has more health than you now. This is where his offensive build quickly outstripped your ability or your attempt to build tank to match him. He got ahead, he started building nothing but damage, and then he has shred in his kit and he built cleaver. So even though you are health and armor, you're just not tanky enough to outrace his damage anymore. You know that you still need to farm top. It sucks to be in this position right now. It's definitely rough, but electing not to farm only makes it worse, because then you never ever catch up. You spend all this time running around the map, you just stay level 12, right? They're going to continue to get stronger, but you need to continue farming and being in your own lane. You would basically only want to group at this point each time you back and buy an item and it looks like they're grouping and trying to mass on your team. It's just a hard spot to be in. He's killing it though.
Team double kill.
Now as long as you don't die here, this is okay. Even if he gets tower, it's fine. You're healing up, nice. This is what you need to have been doing earlier when you decided to run to that team fight. Just push like a madman and then go try to base. That's how you catch up. I mean, I don't want to always tell you to push like a madman because that's how you get ganked, right? What you want is to farm like a madman, which, as Garen with a Sunfire, essentially means that you're just pushing like a monkey. But you get my point. Without farming and solo laning, you're not going to catch up. You could have got out here if you didn't path back towards here. Your team kind of migrated towards the bottom half of your jungle, so this area of the map had the enemy in it, and you pathed towards it rather than running immediately for the opposite exit. I think if you don't path this way, J4 doesn't catch up to you. So you do have dead mans at least, and this means that you can get around the map quickly. You could push something and then still go help your team quickly. For that reason, you know, dead mans is useful. It's not bad, but I think Randuin's is what you needed here in order to reduce the attack speed. This late in the game, you're a straight tank, right? You built Sunfire, dead mans. Look how long you spend trying to hack away at this tower. It is 27 minutes in the game, homie. What are you doing? To avoid this next time, this is why you get Sunfire dead mans, right? So that you can push and then just get the hell out of there with all that movement speed. You just queue out and then you're uncatchable. You have a tank build, and at 27 minutes, you're trying to split push like your Jax or Tryndamere or something. This is just bad. You got to remember what your items are, and you got to remember what you're capable of. Forget the fact that you're overextended. I think that's obvious at this point. You definitely kind of just lost track of the enemy. When your whole team's spread out like this, they got to come for one of you, right? Don't let it be you. Especially when you have dead mans and you could have left already. Then bad things happen while you're dead. You at least get some map pressure back out. Kind of equalize things a little bit. You're definitely trying too hard to make stuff happen. Once again, you're just on the other side of the map without your team, right? This girl is your whole team right now, frankly. And you're just not helping her out at all. You need to be with her, you need to be frontlining for her, you need to be taking the hooks or the Qs for her, and maybe that's the way you win the team fight. But you're just trying to do stuff on your own, and now it's just late game against Baron. This is pretty inty at this point. You're not strong enough to do stuff on your own. What you are strong enough to do is push waves, be fast, and kind of stand in front of your Tristana. But you're not doing that. They're definitely pushing in on this last wave with the Baron. I think the big things about this game, I think your itemization was actually okay, considering how far behind you were. Except for the fact that you bought the bombies first in lane. You needed to go chain vest first if you had 800 gold exactly, or definitely build that bombies tabbies. Definitely get the chain vest for the tabbies first. Health potions with health rush against someone who's building nothing but swords. It's just more HP for him to chew through, right? You need the armor to protect yourself. That way the armor is multiplied by the regen in your kit, the regen with Doran Shield, second level, etc. Definitely after like 15 to 20 minutes as well, look at your build and remember what your win condition is. In this game in particular, your win condition became defending this Tristana. But you continued to split push and get greedy for things that weren't doable. I don't think you split push in this case with the Sunfire and the Deadmans. What you do is that you just farm and get out. That's what that's for at this point. Choosing to go for the tower, choosing to go for these fights when your AD carries across the map, that's definitely what threw this game. This game was definitely still doable if you didn't start forgetting what your win condition was. And basically, I don't think you switched gears out of the losing lane mentality. You were still trying to hit like 16 and farm up and get big, which is still what you do, but you kept dying. You overstayed when you could have left. You went for things when your AD carry wasn't there. And you actually did that like 3 different times. So I would definitely learn from those mistakes and the early itemization errors, the level 2 mistake, and just appreciating minion advantages, health advantages, and item advantages, and showing them more respect. I would also focus more on not getting your passive knocked off just for nothing. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, good luck playing your next few games as Garen.